Hi, I'm Cyril. I'm currently an Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning Research Fellow at the Halusioglu Data Science Institute at UCSD. I work heavily with these technologies in my work, and it's important to understand these concepts and their ethical implications, as they will only continue to affect more of our society. As you can see, these are huge buzzwords today. Large news outlets are increasingly writing articles about what these technologies mean for our world and how they can be regulated. People often have huge misconceptions about what exactly they mean. AI is machine intelligence. Artificial general intelligence is what most people associate with AI, being able to effectively replicate human cognition. The inventor of copy and paste said, AI is whatever hasn't been done yet. ML is a subset of AI, and the most prominent application of it today. ML involves using a computer algorithm to build a model from data so that it can make predictions. Email spam filtering is an example. To see practical examples of these technologies in use, I'll talk about some of my work under Dr. Justin Eldridge at UCSD. Most recently, I researched online political activity on Reddit with a machine learning algorithm to see how certain communities acted during the recent election. As you can see, this code looks very imposing and complicated, but what it's doing is pretty understandable. Essentially, this is pulling the top comments from a particular community on Reddit, and then determining whether that comment is positive or negative. This type of work would be extremely arduous to do with humans, and would require people to go through hundreds of thousands of comments manually. In short, this would be impossible without machine learning. Here are some of the findings. Another area of application for AI is the financial world. In this paper, I looked at advertiser data on Snapchat and determined patterns of ad spending in the US. Then, I developed a linear regression model that was able to predict this with 85% accuracy. A particularly relevant example right now is how AI can be used to fight COVID-19. A company called Landing AI developed a computer vision model that determines whether or not people are properly social distancing. So, we've now seen 3 examples of how AI can be used in powerful ways for the benefit of society. But what are the drawbacks? A poignant negative application of AI is in the risk assessment tools that judges use to make decisions for their sentencing. The data that these risk algorithms are fed with obviously contain all the biases in effect when that data was created. Though the algorithms don't explicitly look at race, the model learns it through the biased data, and in one study, they are heavily biased against black defendants. Another area of issues with AI is facial recognition. The ACLU did a study with Amazon's facial recognition platform and found that it misidentified almost 30 members of Congress as criminals. Finally, warfare is an area we should be extremely cautious about the use of AI in. Google withdrew a government contract to develop military vehicles with AI after many employees quit. Another company called Palantir is heavily involved in ethically questionable things, like using AI to help ICE in deportations. This company ended up taking Google's place in this contract, which prompted a very negative reaction from experts and ethicists. This agreement raised serious questions about the harm that it could bring. Now, we've seen 3 ways that AI can have very negative consequences. So, how do we mitigate these risks? These are Google's AI principles that the company pledged to follow in its pursuit of AI. This is their blacklist of things they claim they won't do. They committed to not weaponizing AI like we previously discussed, as well as not using it for mass surveillance and societal harm. While most tech companies have similar statements, they don't all follow them. OpenAI is a company most famous for its language algorithms. Even though they claimed that they would always make their work freely available, they eventually sold the use of their latest algorithm to Microsoft and haven't made the source code available. It's clear that the current state of ethics in AI is tenuous, and looking at cultural depictions of AI can give us some interesting insights about how society thinks about it. All of these films feature dystopian elements and depict the use of AI in very unethical ways. So, what's next for AI? Most would say that the watershed moment in the field is the singularity, or when artificial intelligence far surpasses human intelligence, to the point where we can't predict what will happen. Ray Kurzweil, a pioneer in computer science, claims that it's 30 years away. That was some pretty heavy stuff. We saw that machine learning and AI can be used to do some pretty great things that can benefit society on a large scale. At the same time, negative consequences can come from it, and we need to make sure that we have principles that are universally agreed upon that enables AI to be used fair and transparently. Thanks, and I hope this presentation helped you learn about AI and how it can be used to benefit society, as well as what we need to do in the future to ensure that it's used responsibly.